everyone, welcome to Stand-Up Analysis. I am here with AJ Nickell. We're going to be looking at some of his footage from the last laughter party. AJ, anything to say about this footage, the set, or this particular show?
I initially had a set about like brunch, houseplants, plant parents, all that stuff. I've been working on it before the show, and then 2 weeks prior to the show date, I had a wild weekend. And so I thought, I have to talk about this. And so this set is literally like in the process of 2 weeks what I made. So
That's so good. That's my name. How we all doing, laughter party? Fantastic. No sermons from me. You can keep.
Okay, so how do you feel about your opening moment before I delve into it?
it's just very nice to hear a bunch of people cheering your name and then to see the flash of a camera. I think it was all right. It feels a little slow, maybe, and also I'm surprised I'm only just taking care of the business with the mic stand. So yeah, it felt a little bit slow to me, but otherwise I felt like I connected with the audience first, so that was good.
Yeah, so I say great job connecting with the audience. Great job sort of fueling the fire of their applause. I only have two nitpicks, and sort of as people get used to me mentioning this opening moment, the opening moments get better, so my nitpicks get nitpickier and nitpickier. The two nitpicks for this one. The way we scream at the audience is almost too much, so that it like shuts them down. It's like half celebrating thing, but half like, nah, I will control the audio, can like level up this room. And then there's one split second where we're doing great job with like connecting with the audience and doing all the business we need to do, especially because I think you have to move some of the chair, and I think one of our former comics were not nice to you as far as the way they left the stage untidy. But there's one moment when we lift up the mic stand where we go and we kind of get stun locked because of like the mic business, and it's just like one half second, and that's the only part of the business that I think gets in our way. But here, while watching, we can watch it back with that in mind. So we almost started, but no, we see them chanting. And then you see how that, eliminates the noise. The audience is like, okay. It's like if we had just dialed that down to like 70% of that, I think they would have kept chanting and kept the noise instead of like being like, oh God, I'm afraid now. Almost.
Yeah. Oh, well, the audience thinks like, oh, he's about to begin talking. I don't want to miss the joke. So
sure. Yes.
We're training the audience up top. Absolutely. I get it.
Yeah, okay.
And since I had more business to do, it would have made sense to like let them cheer while I still, and then they can cheer my business up top. Like, I got to move the chair.
Yeah,
AJ.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
great,
okay.
Great. But once again, no, is not terrible. Like, it's super nitpicky.
Good.
And then as far as the business,
my name.
Great. We're talking and we're moving.
How we all doing, laughter party?
We're asking something and we're even connecting.
Fantastic.
Great.
No sermons from me. You can keep your aim.
That half second. That's the only part of the business that I feel like got in our way. But once again, who cares?
Yeah.
We're in a great position.
Men's. I had the craziest weekend, okay?
Oh, sorry. I missed the callback joke that we'll have to explain to everyone watching after the fact because they weren't at the show.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No sermons from me. You can keep your amens.
Okay, so do you want to explain that joke?
Sure. Yeah. There's a comedian earlier in the night, third set. I'm like the eighth set in. He talked about growing up in like a Christian family, and his father became a pastor, and he did like a whole amen sermon bit with the crowd, and that's what I'm calling back here.
Great. I really like that callback, one, because it shows, hey, I've been in this room with the audience, and then two, the audience like chanting our name did really sort of like feel similar to how that sermon moment of his felt. So I think it's great to be like, okay, hey, I'm gonna reference this thing, and we're gonna go into it. Love that.
I had the craziest weekend, okay? We got to dive in. Not a homeowner.
Okay, how do you feel about that segue from like the...
We got to dive in. I felt like I was feeling like I want to make sure I don't go over, because already I knew that here's the only context you need. So I knew that I had about 7 minutes max 7 to 8 minutes max on stage, right? My set as rehearsed is 4.5 minutes. I was anticipating being later in the evening and that I would have surprises. And I began with the surprise of the audience chanting my name. So I'm like, okay, I already have less time than I think.
Sure.
And so I'm just saying, oh, we literally have to dive in. And then I begin a callback that is super like unneeded and is just like me finding my grounding before I begin.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I can see that you're like, I have 5 buttons to play with the audience to build time, and I've already burned one of them. Now I gotta like make up if I want to reset so I can do another one. And then I can maybe see that like maybe this sermon moment, which I think is great. It doesn't get a big laugh, but I think it's a great like, hey, I'm a real person moment. I can see it's like, oh, that didn't get a big laugh. Okay, all right, let's just get back into material. So maybe we're trying to like hit the throttle a little bit to get into it. I don't hate any of those instincts. Yeah, I could dig it. Because honestly, the sermon joke could have just as easily gotten a big laugh, and like I don't think anyone is thinking any less of you of it, but I can definitely get the impulse to be like, okay, let's stop improvising if they're not digging that yet, and get back into the real material.
Okay, we gotta dive in. Not a homeowner.
And then you dive right back into the callback pool. We gotta dive in. Something that's not the written material. Do you want to explain the homeowner thing? Because we have to go all these callbacks to the.
I made eye contact, I think, with one of the other comics, and then my mind just I acted before I thought, if that makes sense. And it's just, I think one of the things I need to get used to when I have so much energy up top is like time slows, and so any moment of silence feels like, oh shit, you almost go into panic mode, but I think I dial it back afterward. So like that's what's happening here.
Sure. So yeah, for those watching, and maybe if you've watched other stand-up analysis, stand-up reviews, and if you haven't watched them after this, AJ is the only laughter party comedian that I've ever told, like, okay, maybe too much playing with the audience. Maybe we need to ground with a little bit of material. And I think this moment, not to a terrible degree, but starts to show what happens if you get a little bit too much. Anything can affect you too much, and there's no solid foundation of the material. Then the audience is like, like there needs to be some sort of comfort. Like, okay, we have a path. We're gonna stray from the path, but like there definitely is a path, and we don't know that yet.
Yeah, I think the connection in my mind was like, oh, I had a crazy weekend. Not a homeowner, not so crazy that I bought a house, but I'm like, wait, that doesn't really make so much sense. That was like the logic in my head, if that makes sense. But I was like, wait a minute, I don't think for the audience that connects. I need to go ahead and come back.
Yeah, I dig that as a premise. I dig that idea. Like, not so crazy that I bought a house, but yeah, I can see how the audience wouldn't have digested that in the comedic way they would need to like.
Yeah.
We'd have to word economy of it. Yeah. But hey. We get it. Let's keep going.
Bought a house. Okay, so.
Oh, also, we don't even let it land.
Yeah.
We sort of like watch how much time there's between end of joke and us trying to save it.
You gotta dive in.
Yeah.
Not a homeowner. I bought a house. Okay, so.
Oh, I see. Not a homeowner. That didn't land. And then the recovery line is bought a house, which logically is like not a homeowner, but then bought a house. So then like, the audience does. I understand like how we're trying to save not a homeowner. Like okay, that I think is what is happening right up top. I think.
Yeah.
No worries. Once again, the recovery line didn't recover like we wanted it to, but the instinct, like once again, yes, we're missing some of these swings, but the instinct is still good. You know what I'm saying? Like that just as easily could have, if our improv was just a slightly in that moment, it could have been the thing that it needed, and it could have just as easily been like, I'm so glad we did that recovery line. So I don't want to say because of this one iteration, like always go back to written material, because you know we need to call out that the other version of this that could have been like, that was the ticket, man. So you know, it's just some bad RNG with regards to what our improv brain spit out in that moment.
Crazy weekend started Friday. Friday, I'm at a holiday party, okay? Your holiday party. I meet Veronica.
I'm going to guess that's a friend in the audience who it was actually their holiday party? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just making sure we're anyone watching at home like, why did he point at someone? Is that a callback?
Okay. First thing Veronica says to me, she's like, let me guess what kind of Asian you are. Ego point.
I think we could have. Once again, I still think as a whole, Laughter Party's instinct is whenever we do an act out, we are using the act out as a puppet for our words, and we don't like to give them character around it. We'd be like, ooh, what are you? You could have settled a little bit. Like we could have had a split second more in that character with them, their movement, with sort of like audible emotion noise they make, instead of just like, I will transform into character, say words character needs to say, and then bye character. So to speak. And we could have been doing it when we got the laugh from the initial line. We could have been doing it silently underneath, and it might have fueled the laugh more. And then we could have found a way to play with that and keep the why. So it's like, if I'm you.
Let me guess what kind of Asian you are. Ego point. Shun's joke.
Okay, now do you want to explain Eagle Point Shun's joke as a follow-up?
Initially the line is written is that let me guess what ethnicity you are. That's what it says. But earlier, when Shun had mentioned about how people like to play, let's guess what kind of Asian I am. That's the line that he says. And since we're both Asian, and that's kind of a similar thing what happens here, I call back his line. And then during Shun's joke, he made a callback to someone else's set, to Matt's set, or someone, and he said he pointed to Jeremy, where he thought he pointed to where he thought Jeremy was, but Jeremy wasn't there. And he said, I'm not changing my my ego's really strong. So he still pointed to where he thought Jeremy was, even though Jeremy revealed himself to be elsewhere in the room. So that's a double callback right here.
Yeah, great, love it. And people after watching the fact are like, "What the hell?" But really clever. So you don't understand, or watch all of Laughter Party's footage. Categorical knowledge of everything ever said on our stage. Great. I like if you really want to feel like a true like headliner of the night. Like there has to be a feeling about like, okay, why did this person get to go later? Why did this person? And this is one of the things that makes it really, instead of just like I'm doing a longer set or I am later in the night. This is one of the things that like, oh yeah, there's a reason they put him later because he's using the things from earlier. So really sort of like makes you deserve that spot, if anything.
I should. And I'm gonna go. We don't need to do that, do we? She's like, shh. I like mixed boys. They've got that caramel dick.
Interesting. I like our big reaction to like they've got that caramel dick. I like having a big reaction there so the audience can see how they should feel. Maybe because you're doing sort of like a big surprise, they're politely waiting, but I don't want to say not to do something like that. I think it's either this iteration or we do this the earlier thing again, and we stay in her silently reacting. You've got that caramel dick. Let the audience laugh, and then be like, "What? You guys! I was flabbergasted." I think this is all hypothetical right now. I'm not I'm not dictating. Thoughts on your end about if you're diagnosing what's happening in this moment.
I think that when I'm watching this back right now, I see my nervousness and anxiety about the set come through the most. And there's it's like this set feels like a brand new boot. I haven't like really broken it in yet. So that's like what I see the most. In terms of that pitch, I think that's a really good idea. I think if I was more comfortable with it, I would rest in Veronica more and play around with her physicality, because in real life, to pull from it, it was very interesting. Like it was a very distinct physicality, and there's stuff that I had to cut out for time wise that contributes to that. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely want to play around with this set more and see how, because I wasn't sure if like that reaction to the audience of like what the heck happened. I'm still unsure about how that plays as is in this set.
I think we do a big reaction, but I think anytime we're like the audience doesn't know if they should laugh because they don't know if we can. Instead of like, if there's like a slight smile or like a wink about like, I can't believe this, but like this is funny, right? Then the audience won't feel bad laughing. I think might be the slight tweak there. And to your other point, anyone watching at home. This is first stage iteration of the set. A lot of times comedians do bits for years, so we are blessed at Laughter Party that we get a lot of new material, but that also means that we have to go through the birthing pains of those sets. And so it's like, for a first time really playing the set out, really great, even despite all of these things that we're saying. If we're comparing it to other first sets in the sort of like, mid-tier New York comedy scene. So I just, needs to be called out. But yeah, so this, I think I'm diagnosing this correctly in that.
She's like, shh.
Right?
I like mixed boys. They've got that caramel dick.
Audience laugh, and then we look really big. Yeah, I think the audience is trying to figure out what we're doing as we look to the side with big reaction. I think the audience is not bored. They're not. I think they're just like, oh, what's happening? I think is the feeling.
Okay.
We just met at your party. We just met. How is that your opener? Do you know what I mean? Not the usual questions. What do you do for work? Any plans for the holidays?
Ooh, it's easy to do after the fact, but what do you do for work? Any plans for the holidays? Some question that some comedian had asked earlier in the night.
Yeah, unfortunately, so Dana went right before me. There wasn't an intermission at the show, and I had to go pee before I went on, and I was like, I know Dana was supposed to ask a question that I wanted to call back, but I didn't freaking hear it.
Sure.
So I was like, oh well.
Hey.
That's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, just opportunities. So yeah, so the audience there is a weird dynamic with the audience here that I don't 100% know, like what to.
We
just
met.
Look confused.
We just met at your party. We just met.
They want to laugh at that, but I like.
How is that your opener?
I don't know how, because you
Do
don't
you know
know
what I
how
mean?
to feel.
Not the
Yeah.
usual
I'm following the
questions. What do you do
confusion.
for work?
Now it
Any
feels like
plans for the
jokes.
holidays?
And then that one also
Yeah.
felt like a joke, but I don't know that it was funny, that second one. So I think if I'm trying to like talk out why the audience might not be full laughing, that's what it is. Like, okay, what's about to happen? Oh, what's about to happen? Oh, okay, he's confused, I'm confused. Okay, that sounded like a joke. Okay, now it feels like jokes, but now I don't necessarily know what the funny is because it's just a question as stated, if I'm going to try to put my logic. But it is a little, once again, I could be sold on a lot of different things that explains this behavior from the audience.
Yeah, I think they might just want to know what happens next. And I think that might be it. And so I think I might want to toy around with playing around with the space and time of that, and maybe just like say what happens, then break down each moment. Like the very interesting thing about it is that the real life moment of it is so absurd. It's like, oh, let me guess what ethnicity you are. We talk about that like unwillingly. We talk about that.
Sure.
Then she volunteers. Oh, goody! I like mixed boys. They've got that caramel dick. I turn away. I'm so shocked in real time at it, and then the rest of you see and hear happens. So, but I could play around and and see what makes sense to like give the audience.
If we do that, there could be even the fun meta game of like, if we feel like the audience is feeling what happened next. You guys want to know what happens next? Do you really want to know? You want to know what happens next in the story? I'm going to tell you right now. In just a second, you guys are going to find out. Soon you guys are going to learn. If we feel like the tension is they want to know what happens next, then we can even play with that meta tension of like, oh, they want to know. But it would be, I'm having trouble 100% diagnosing it right now. So I would never be like, if a comedian was able to feel that in the room and precision pinpoint that, I'd be like, wow, like zeitgeist receiver antenna in their head that they could pull that off.
So, what's going on? No. I'm so much more interested in this.
Okay, so how do you feel about that? Like we've had a moment of a little bit like the sail is flapping, and then that audience moment. How do we feel?
Well, they were talking before I addressed them, which was really distracting because they're front row.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel good about that moment because after that they were not having their own conversation for the rest of it.
Sure.
And I got back to my set, and I didn't have to like I feel like I did it in the nicest way possible too, without showing
Sure,
any
sure.
kind of edge. So I like that. I felt that was
Yeah,
really
so
successful.
So that's the thing that once again we are blessed at Laughter Party. That Laughter Party tends to be a little bit more wholesome, a little bit more amiable audience. But in a lot of comedy shows, you will have to deal with stuff like this a lot, where like a table is just like they're having their own little party, and then it becomes a real nuanced take about like when is it too much where you have to talk about it versus like when you're allowing people to get their own privacy, and then the bigger room it is, the more you have to sort of like allow pockets of their own little conversations to happen. But if the other audience is noticing, then you have to address it, and it really is a matter of taste when it gets too, unless like they're like full on thing that everyone is hearing. It's like like there's no, I don't think anyone could dictate yes that was right or no. It's like I think it definitely served us in this aspect, and it definitely gets the table pointed towards us. I agree with you there. But it is a really hard call to make, I'll say, to people at home who like haven't been in that position before. And I do think considering how they are talking, and we do it like some comedians will just heavy hand it and mean it and be like, why are you talking? Oh, do you have a party? Yeah, oh, yeah, definitively lose the audience in that moment of addressing them because like their ego.
For
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, for me, yeah, ego-wise, I take that out of the equation. For me, it was just like, oh, they're talking, I can't focus, and I need to be able to focus if I want to do my job. And I want to do my job because to me, my job is making like, being there for the audience.
sure.
And I want to eliminate anything that gets in the way of that. So that's how I'm viewing it, and
Yeah.
that's like the equation that goes in my mind. So if that's helpful to anyone watching who's like, oh, they're disrespecting me. No, they're just there to have fun. By the time I'm going on, they've probably had 2 beers or so. Like we don't know like how they're engaging, like what thought process they're engaging in.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
just a
I'll
little
say
reminder.
Yeah, I'll say this, especially the people at home. Throughout my career, like I've gone through different phases about like different audience that maybe I came down too heavy handed on, and then after the show, like they were like, oh, really didn't like that you called me out or whatever. And over time, some people are not going to agree with this take, but like we are the comedy professional. It is someone is coming to a show to enjoy it. There are some people that are just unreasonable. You're not going to make them unhappy no matter what. But other than that, in a normal standard deviation of people, it's our job to make them okay. They're here to have a good time. It is our job to give them that path or that good time, not to be like this is going to be my thing in my way no matter what. Just as like one opinion uh, on that thing. And so I do like that how we handled it without like making potential enemies or making anyone feel bad. But once
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
that's also a matter of taste. And then sometimes if it's a rougher audience, sometimes you gotta like, it's nuanced.
Yeah. All depends. All depends. Yeah.
So I'm
Oh, sorry. I missed the other thing I was going to. The other thing I was going to say about that is the thing that you said about like, look, it was just about me. Like, it's distracting. They're right up front. I need to do my job. Honestly, if you're in a set and you feel that, just being that vulnerable can honestly like get the audience to like stop talking the way they're talking and be like, oh, he's being vulnerable. He's being honest. This is an honest moment. Like, I don't think. And then if they continue, then they are definitively the asshole, and then the audience is 100% on your side. Like, you're like, hey, like, oh. I'm paying attention to y'all. I'm so sorry. I get distracted really easily. Hence, call back here. Yeah. Can we?
Yeah.
I'll talk to you guys about that after the show. I promise. Or whatever.
I think for me, my advice to anyone in this situation that you find yourself in, just like I have a stage persona that I think the audience gets really quickly, which is that I'm playful. I'm going to have an edge, but if I'm aggressive, it is still playful. And so I'm going to talk to you. I'm also going to do my set. And I think I set that up top where like how comfortable I was engaging with different pockets of the audience. And so with them, I'm able to just quickly, it was a sincere question like what is going on? and then they're like, okay, then they don't respond. I'm like, okay, well, I guess this isn't going to be a moment. I'm going to get back to my set.
Sure.
So if that's at all helpful, like approaching it earnestly and then leaning into your personality that comes on stage, that'll be your anchor through any surprise moment.
I do think that's a good point about like, if this was the very first time we interacted with the audience during our set, they might not have been as comfortable because they hadn't seen previous iterations of us playing with the audience. But if we have good rapport up top, then we can get away with more as the sort of the set progresses. So I think that is this is even nuanced in like where you could do this and how hard you go depending on where it hits in your set. Not that we're actively thinking about all the implications of that, but like I didn't think about it from that angle at first, and I do agree with that take.
So much more interested in this. So I'm so shocked by this. I turn around, and while I'm turned around, I feel Veronica get 2 pats of these honey buns. Yeah. Okay. Woo! Harassment. I've lost control. Where are the amens? Yeah!
You promised.
Hallelujah. Absolutely.
Okay, how do we feel about that whole thing from honey buns to audience reaction? I've lost control. More audience reaction.
And
now
then
running back.
honestly, really good. Like I've called out what was happening, and I really didn't know what was going on. About like there's like so many little pockets of noise and like contributions, and I was like, it's too much to address. Sure. And so I just labeled what was happening, which is that I lost control. And because if everyone can see it and experience it, then they probably are going to like whatever label is given to it, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's what it is. So once because the only way to move past something is to acknowledge it, especially in a live performance. So once I acknowledge it, I'm able to reset the room and go back to where I want.
Yeah, I love the way that we're playing with the different moments. And yeah, there are things we could have done differently, but I don't know that they would have been better. They just would have been different. I like the way, all of our instincts here of doing things and labeling things, I think are great. And yeah, people can like Monday night quarterback and be like, but you could have done this and you could have done that, but much easier to do now. Like this is a great showing of that skill. And I say we stamp it and leave it at that. And I also do agree that since multiple things were happening at different parts of the audience, addressing any one singular one might leave other people like, well, why did he do their thing and not my thing? And like I couldn't hear their thing because I was doing my thing. And so it is hard to nail down if you're going to do just one, which one do you do? So I think you do need something that sort of like encompasses the totality of what's happening to like hit the whole room in a weird way.
I turn around back to Veronica, and she's just smiling. She's very proud of herself, Delicious. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to point out, you notice how the physicality of this character got a bigger laugh than the words?
Yeah.
We could have had more of those in before. Just my point from earlier.
Yeah.
I run home. Alone. Candy stays in the jar. Am I the jar? Am I the candy? I am both at the same time.
Oh, I think that's a great job of recognizing that like the audience didn't fully get the angle we were attacking that joke, and that's a great. Like, I don't know if you had that in your back pocket or if you came up with that in the spot, but that's a great way of like addressing like, oh, this is how the audience is confused, and here's like a funny way of just like calling out like, oh, is this why you're confused, and it gets the laugh, just like it's like that thing of you're saying about acknowledging how we think that they feel.
Yeah.
1 second. Addressing chat. Hey Eric, how you doing? We're watching AJ's set from this past Monday.
Next night, another party. I'm sorry, I just realized I'm here on stage. It's like, whoa, I got back in my body. Next night, another party.
Okay.
That's a real time. Look, ADHD. I'm sorry. I don't. No, literally, what I spoke is what I experienced. I just realized I felt like I was coming back into my body, and I thought, oh God, this is so strange. And normally anytime, like the rule of thumb is like if something strange happens, you acknowledge it. But that was like an internal thing that no one could see. So
Yeah.
I did not need to address it. Because
Yeah.
all it
So
does is creates a question in the audience that I'm not able to resolve. So
yeah. So it's a weird dichotomy about like, yeah, if the audience felt weird or felt they saw that, 100% I think calling it out is the distinct answer. But yeah, you, at least from this showing, this presentation, I didn't see that in you, so it feels like we're suddenly like, there's a butterfly erupting from my stomach. The audience like, no, there's not. Like, but that's my truth right now, and so like, yeah,
that's my truth.
but I don't hate the habit of like calling out, some sort of like real maybe inside baseball moment, especially if the audience might be able to see it. In this iteration, just the audience couldn't see it, so it just makes things weird. But once again, that's similar to the other things. I don't want to dictate like you should never do this because I do like the move. I do.
Party. Next night, another party. I meet Erin. Erin's from America. Okay, and she. Sure. She's like.
Okay, I love the woo, the calling out the woo, the playing with the audience, especially since it's one clear woo. I think we could have this thing about like, oh, she's from America.
Yeah.
Oh, can you, like, we could have grown that and we could have played with that. Once again, easy to do after the fact, but we sort of like this is a thing. The audience likes it, then we sort of lateral it, and then we just like, okay, sure, something happened, and we acknowledge something happened, which gets a laugh. But we could have heightened it, made it reach some sort of height, and then, like wrapped a bow around whatever it is that we're reacting to as a thought.
Hell yeah, I love that. That's a great idea.
Oh, what do you do for work? Any plans for New Year's? I'm a person again, just normal Dick. Working on the Nick.
So with just normal Dick, I don't know. I think some part of the audience gets that we're referencing Caramel Dick, and I think some of the audience might not get it. So it might need to like but who are you? What do you do for work? Yeah, oh yes, I'm not Caramel Dick. I'm just normal Dick. So then we put the reminder right before it, and then I think full audience would have gotten it. I think if I'm diagnosing this correctly, that's why only half the audience laughs. The other audience is like, what do you mean normal Dick? Is this a new thing? I think in this moment.
Okay.
What do you do for work? Any plans for New Year's? I'm a person again, just normal Dick. Working on the nickname. But we talk, we get along, we're laughing, and then towards the end of the night, she takes my hand.
Oh, we talk, we get along, we're laughing, ha ha ha, tee hee hee, oh, ah ha ha ha, nyang 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 nyang, whoa whoa whoa, pizza, whoa. Like, it's a big idea that we don't have to take it, but there's an opportunity there if we want to.
Okay, yeah.
And then we could also sort of maybe see Erin for the first time and like with just like a hint of who this person is.
Yeah.
And she says, do you want to take me back to your place? I go, whoa. Oh, that's not what she said. So anyways, it's the end of the night. She takes my hand and she says, do you want to come back to my place?
Okay, how do we feel about the rewind and the redo?
I think it's a good recovery. I think it's a good recovery because like I went into the older version of it. Older version of the set, and I was like, wait a minute, no, shit. But like mistakes happen, and rather than like, I had to make a split decision of like, do I just roll with the older version? Does that version still work? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work. There's a reason why we changed it, so I can't add those jokes back in. And so, how do I How do I redo that moment? I literally just redo the moment. So
yeah, on everyone watching at home who are like, wow. Like we didn't all that thing. We just made game time decisions with all of that logic happening. It's super smooth, peanut butter smooth. The peanut butter can also be crunchy, but this is smooth peanut butter smooth recovery of all of those things that we just talked were happening in his head. I wouldn't necessarily assume that. Great.
I go.
And we got what we needed about like, do you want to go back to your place? Or my place, whichever order. Yeah. I forget because the different. Yeah. See.
Yeah, that'd be great. That sounds fantastic. She says it's in Jersey. God, why? Give me the wine, Pastor.
Great. Love that. Love that. Like we go really high energy, and the audience matches us in this like this big moment. Your thoughts on that whole thing and the sort of evolution of it from the initial moment to this?
I think the audience, I think me having a silent but visually loud response is very helpful because I don't think on its own, I think the audience actually follows me into reacting to it. Like if you hear it, like I do big motion, they're like, oh, but then I keep leaning into it and then they like increase it. And then that's when I vocalize that no. And that, you know, the waves get higher and higher. And then that callback to Matt's set comes to mind, like about getting the wine. And that allows me to like ride that wave and then move on to the next one.
Sure. Yeah. Love it.
It's gonna be a long night.
I forget. Is that a call? It's gonna be a long night. Is that a callback or is that just like?
No, that's just me. Like
That's
it's gonna be a long. It's not a callback of like it's still me doing the hand me the wine, Pastor. It's gonna be a long night. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. So my audience, even in this moment, I don't know exactly what that it's going to be a long night. Is that you talking about the thing, the jersey? Is that you with the pastor and the wine? Is that you right now in the room with your no? I don't know exactly the angle on that, which is why I think maybe that doesn't fully reignite the laugh.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sure.
So we call a car.
It's sort of like, oh, and I like that before, we started the show with this. And so like,
Yeah.
I really do think the audience has been prepped to like do your chant whenever you pump again. So I love the feeling of it.
It's a 40.
We could even, once again, this is a matter of taste, but we could have even like, it's a 40. AJ. We could like this. That's the game we're playing right now, so we could play that game a little bit before we like. Matter of taste. So yeah.
I think I knew that because my set based on where it ends, I didn't want to hit that button too much or tire them out of it. So and plus you'll see me call it back later when I need it as an emergency.
Okay. Yeah.
Minute ride. Yes! Ah!
The audience literally went with you. They like that. They're literally parroting you. I love it.
Aaron and I, we made a great first impression with each other, right? We both got along really well. But 40 minutes is enough time to undo all of that. That's enough time to realize, maybe this isn't it. At the very least, you can just take the same Uber back. Well, really? Are you Korean?
Great. Do you want to explain that joke to people watching who are not the show?
That's another callback from Shun's set, who I guess he might say that he co-wrote the set as a result. He has a bit about where he an Uber driver asks if he's Korean. He's not, but he says yes anyway. And the Uber driver goes, "Really?" And he's like, "No." That's the whole opening for that. And that was a great moment for me to call back here since I mentioned Uber drivers.
Yeah, love it.
Ego point, Shun. So we get to her place. We still like each other. And she... Save it.
Woo,
America! Woo!
Yeah.
Because like
I heard I heard someone start to say my name, AJ, on stage. So I was like, wait, no, don't chant my name just yet. Is what that was about.
Gotcha. Yeah, and for those watching at home, there are multiple audio sources, and the audio source we are listening to is sort of like backstage left from the audience perspective, and so what the comic hears versus we are hearing right now watching this are different. So like small things that the audience might be doing, we may not pick up to what AJ on stage is like much more real to his experience.
Yeah.
And just before I say what happens next, I need you to know what my expectations were going, like what I was anticipating. At the party, Aaron said, "No expectations. We'll just see where the night takes us." Yeah, she's got Riz. She opens the door, and before it can, get acquainted with her two cats, Mia and Peanut, who will be watching and learning. I'm the best. So.
Okay, thoughts on cat joke, learn and watching and learning, and then the feeling of the AJ.
I'm just happy the and learning tag worked because that was the one I was most excited about. And I was just letting them. I was just riding the wave of their laugh. I wasn't waiting for them to cheer or anything. But then when they start cheering, I was like, "Oh, this is a great surprise!" And I'll go along with this. But yeah, I felt good overall.
Great, yeah. Love it. I'm trying to, one second, as I no, what am I doing, William? Stop! Don't do this to yourself. Okay, I know it. Sorry. As I talk, it's technical behind the scene, the inside baseball.
Whoa.
Okay, pull that down. Okay, great. Is that what I wanted? That's what I wanted. Sure. Okay. Great. This is going to be a nuanced take.
Okay.
I do think, as far as the games that we're playing, I wanna make sure I'm not lying to you.
And learning.
Okay, if the audience didn't respond here like that with the AJ Inception game, there is an opportunity to be watching and learning and either and heightening that or ooh meow meow and fully paying off that sort of scene lit. I do think with this AJ, interesting, at least from what I can hear from this audio source. Yeah, I do think the audience on the right is really loving this game, but I think the audience on the left is getting a little fatigued with the game. At least that's hitting. I think if I'm try to. I don't know if you have a left right or if it's just all mono to you, but. Watch.
She opens the door, and before it can.
That's it.
And learning.
Yeah, so the left does it for 1, 2, and then dies down, and then it's mostly the right that's doing it, which I don't know what to do with that, but I do think maybe we if we notice that in the room, it's okay, maybe the AJ button is getting pressed too much, and we lay off it for a while. So I thought
Yeah, well, I didn't start the button, so I feel like that's not anything for me to do there.
Oh,
and
yeah,
only,
you didn't. Yeah, the audience.
and I'm not going to punish. Yeah, because the other option, what would I do then? I feel like I ride that out for the minimum amount of time that I can before moving on, being able to move on.
This happens during Batsu a lot of the times. Either the audience will really like one warrior and literally chant their name, or they'll like that their birthday person is up and they'll turn the show about chanting their birthday person's name. My only thought is if it ever happened to happen again, something like this is similar to the thing about calling it out. It's guys, they're getting tired of my name. Save it for later. Like a way to be I'm not penalizing you, but I'm calling out that maybe part of the audience is fatigued. And I promise you, I'll give you a big opportunity to play this game later, and maybe by then you guys will like that too. And sort of appeasing both sides of the feeling.
I think it feels that way in the audio, but if I had felt that way on stage, I would have addressed it. So if I on stage I wasn't getting that feeling, otherwise I would have called it out. There's a few sets back where they opened with it and the audience was totally unfamiliar with me. And I could feel that it was just one pocket of the room and everywhere else was well, who the fuck is this guy? And that I could feel, and so I addressed it, and then I moved into it. But this I didn't feel that, so. But that's a good note for next time. Anytime I feel something from the audience, I will address it for sure.
Sure. Yeah. And once again, it is once again. I cannot speak for the reality of the stage, and I'm just trying to glean from our sort of recovered footage of what I'm surmising from this data input.
Yeah.
100%. I could be way off base.
I'm the best. So
I do think that I'm the best does sort of like is a sort of thing that does appease both groups in some ways. About like it's letting you guys feel good for chanting my name, but it's also like boisterously over exaggerating. Like for those who maybe think this is too much, like here's a bone for you as well, and I'm calling out silly. So
Yeah.
before I can even meet her cats, her panties are on the floor and my shirt is gone. Okay. What ensues next is like, such a sugar rush, just caramel dick and coconut cake.
Call back to the fingers. Okay, yeah.
Or any I think we could do more of that non-verbal moment. It's sort of like teaching the game, like, oh, we're doing this fun, like, vague metaphorical movement that is implying sex, but we could have heightened that and paid it off instead of just like starting to do it, and the audience starts to see what that is and then dropping it.
Yeah.
Oh.
2 fingers.
And I think that's me in the crowd being like, this
That's
is an
you.
opportunity. No, it definitely is me, but I think that's me being like, this is an opportunity and I don't want it to go away. Look, when you hear me talk at Laughter Party, I am not trying to make the moment about me. I'm seeing something and I'm trying to gently push in a direction that I know that there is a payoff towards. So like, yes, it is a little rude, and if I was a random audience member, I would be mad at me that they got a big laugh and they made this moment about them. But Here, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, it's not that I don't disagree. It's
I'm
that
not saying that you're disagreeing right now. But we could have also any comment. So what were you gonna say before I made
No. I didn't want to do the finger callback because like I've registered that as an option, but for me I was like if that was like a stylistic like personal choice of like I don't want to make a callback to the finger thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm not. Look. As far as like taste about like how not the word grotesque, but how overly sexual or whatever. I'm not saying that me, William, in even that moment or in this moment is advocating that semi-sexual thing had to go full fingers. We could have played with it and exaggerated it in different ways. And even me saying 2 fingers, I feel like if AJ wants to be this more wholesome comic, he'd be like, maybe we weren't there yet. There's just something we could have responded to. But I was not trying to force you to do. I wasn't even trying to force. Whatever. Well, watch Patricia's set if you want to know more about those 2 fingers on Laughter Party or our stand-up review. But that's just me saying that like there's a fun game here, and the audience wants to be pushed into it, and the game is playing with a sort of physical.
Yeah.
Great callback.
And another iteration of just like labeling what's happening so that we can move on.
And after we finish, and that's an honest we. It's me, her, and the cats. Oh, I lost you there! Pets need love. AJ. At the end of it.
Yeah, some of these aren't hitting like at 100%, but we're doing a great job at just like joke after joke and bouncing that joke. Yeah, some of them are like a slight, and it's like doing, but then we have a recovery to the small doing that is like consistently hitting. I think that's a great 30, 40 seconds of like joke, playing with this. You were shaking your head. Your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I the one thing I feel like that I would have I don't know how to. It wasn't the best ad lib. Was I lost you there. That was like the first time I'd spoken to the audience that way, and I'm also like, of course I lose them, and I'm not sure. Like that for me is the one thing I'm like, I wonder what I could have said differently, because that was the only thing I'm like, I don't like that, but I do like that I was listening to them and hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it could be argued either way for me on that one. On the one hand, you were calling out what was happening and that you sort of lost the audience, so I like the idea of like calling that out. On the other hand, we are sort of like shaming, like, oh, like it does come off a little bit like shame audience. It's like
Yeah.
maybe not that part. So like part of it I really like and it does work, but then I also get the idea that like there might have been a more audience friendly way to sort of steer that energy to where we wanted to and call it out. So I could be argued either way. In this iteration, hey, we get away with it. But yes, there might be other iterations where that's where the audience is like, well, fine, funny man, we're not on your side anymore. Like it could turn sour in a different audience. So love the instinct, love the call out, love the labeling that we lost the audience, and then maybe just do it in a more like, hey, it's your friend on your side, but I'm also gonna say what just happened sort of way.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of it, after we finish, she goes, "That was great. What's your name again?" Anyway, I gotta go back to Jersey. You guys have a great night.
Okay, I mean, like, we couldn't have planned it better. I mean, like, and I don't know if you plan on the audience chanting your name, but the idea of like she forgot my name, and then literally having this game that is your name. Like, if there's a way that we can force it, even on shows that aren't as like amicable towards us, it's like it's the perfect counter to like she forgot my name. Oh, and I already set up a game that perfectly answers that question. Like if that's like, oh, what a genius! Oh my god, what a tactical genius that they made their stand up like that. And then that concept, and then also, how do you feel about your exit moment? Did you go either, both, whatever?
Yeah, the audience gave me like once they started chanting my name at the very top of it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. They have no idea how perfect this is. Let's just hope I can like get them to do that again at the end. I feel like the dismount could have been better. I don't like that's the one of my bigger weak points in my performance for stand up is my dismount for my set and for my sets. And yeah, I think it's because I'm still actually writing the ending of this, where it's like, what is the button for this story? Is it that, oh, I'm still going back to Jersey even though she forgot my name? Is it that, I remembered her name and her cat's names? Is it just like it's only A and J? It's just two letters. Like, what is the best ending? And I think that'll come about hopefully as I trial the set at different mics at different shows, but we'll see.
I then chat has, I like the quick caramel and cake line. Switching up the tempo made me pay attention. As far as I think, like and coconut cake, and coconut cake. That I think that 1-2 punch. I agree. I like that. As far as the logical dismount, I agree with you that like logically the set doesn't have a full bow tied around it. But as far as like performative dismount, we literally have the audience chanting our name. Like honestly, even if we did have some more sentences to say, I'm like, maybe we do just call it here because the audience. Like, what's my name? AJ. And then as far as the avatar, the dismount, I think I love the beginning, similar to the nitpicks of the other thing. I love the beginning, this moment. Woo! Celebrating. Lost here a little bit, and then we reconnect on the out. So it's just the cup grab. We could be like doing that. Oh, thank you. I'm gonna thank. Oh, bye. But still great. So since we have 2 minutes left, anything, if you were going to perform this set again, anything that you've learned that you would definitely keep, anything that you wouldn't do again, just overarching bows around what we have just done together.
I think the one thing that the one thing I would do is settle into Veronica more. So like, what is her character? What is her physicality? How can I lean into that? And then to add a second thing, like if I have something for Veronica, can I also create a physicality for Aaron so that the audience has something to contrast? I think those two things would only help. Would only help.
Sure, and you could also do the cats if you want.
I could. I'm not sure that that's my style.
Sure.
Is the only thing.
Fair. It's fair. It does start to get a little on the silly Billy side of things if we don't.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe
I
I'll get
would
there
do it,
later.
but that's not that is a matter of taste.
Yeah.
I would say if I was gonna great job playing with the audience. It's hard to dictate anyone like focus on this or don't focus on that. Yeah, I think it's just you taking a mental note, and it won't always be the right answer of maybe those moments when we've gone too much audience mode, and especially up top, and we need some sort of foundation versus like just being naturally you and doing what you do great of playing with the audience and calling it back. I don't think every set you're gonna need to have that, but if you have that in your mindset to somewhere, I think like the floor of your stand-up sets, like the worst show, will get higher. As in like there's only so far low you can go because you'll be wary of like when you need to put that safety net in place.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
But otherwise, great job. And once again, everyone watching at home, this was a great set, and this was the first big performance of this set. So like, especially if we look at it through those eyes, you sort of have to like notch it up a bit, because if we check in 2 years, I bet you the set is a lot better, easy breezier. We have all these clever things that we've collected over the years that we can throw out, and we know exactly how the audience is going to respond. We've maybe word economied some things perfectly, and maybe destroyed some things that we learned that we can't really teach the audience so fast. So I do think we need to look at it through those eyes. Hey everyone, if you like this, give us, and you're still watching, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe. Both of our socials will be in the description if you want to see more of our comedy. And right now, more videos should be up there about things you can watch for more stand-up analysis review. AJ, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.